I have with me Ibukun, who is going to introduce himself. Go ahead, Ibukun.
Thank you so very much. My name is Amoson Ibukolu Abiodun.
Nigerian sleepwalk towards one man state. I have with me Ibukun, who is going to introduce himself. Go ahead, Ibukun. Countdown begins. Nine seconds left. Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be, whatever geographical location you're located. My name is Alaba Ferreira, and welcome to the Movement Radio. Our today's program is going to be Nigeria sleepwalk towards one man state. Nigerian sleepwalk towards one man state. I have with me Ibukun, who is going to introduce himself. Go ahead, Ibukun.
Thank you so very much. My name is Amoson Ibukolu Abiodun, Movement Radio Correspondent, Nigeria. And I'm so excited to be here today. Thank you so very much for being a part of today's broadcast. I am so excited to be here because I believe that we are going to have a very robust conversation and it will be interactive. It is not going to be a one-way traffic. It's going to involve everybody. We want the participation of everybody to have a say on today's topic. You know, Nigeria sleepwalk towards a one-man state. All right. We believe this will be very interesting, and we look forward to digging deep into this very concept. Step by step, dealing with the granular details. Really, as they work now for Movement Radio, we they like break them down where we say we go feel understand them in the layman language, the language of the streets. We be say nobody go get excuse to say that they don't understand the kind of Oyinbo way would they talk. We go break them down where we be say, and of course you also have a chance to speak, request for the microphone, and we would take the request and you join us to have the conversation because this matter now all of us matter, not be just a matter of one person thing. Now all of us now we they affected by waiting they happen for Africa and for Obodo Nigeria. So once again, I greet you very, very powerfully. And at this point, I think we would let me just project I think I have, let me just project the topic on the screen so that all of us can see. Should I proceed to read the article and then perhaps Abdullahi would join us in.
In a minute. Hold on. Before you do that, before we go to our main topic, I wanted to give a very long introduction because since yesterday I've been a little bit saddened when I'm on X and hearing Nigerians discussing about the bishop and the president and comments. It's something big really hits me. That as sadly as it sounds, as educated as we Nigerians are, seems a lot of Nigerians have no concept of what democracy in itself entails. I think in the minds of Nigerians, they are mixing monarchy with democracy. Monarchy whereby we have a system of a king and an ultimate ruler that nobody can question, or bring issues towards, as compared to the concept of what we claim to be practicing. And there was one powerful man who gave a speech during the opening of this presidential library. That speech was so powerful and strong that I felt that this is the kind of speech Nigerians need to hear. If you just take the word America out of each sentence and put the word Nigeria in it. So I went through that speech and decided to kind of re-edit it and then give it like a Nigerian version of that. So, but first, before we start on the program at all, for those of you who are joining us for the first time, we want to update you on what our purpose is on the movement radio, what we are doing, why we are doing it. We personally believe that Nigeria has been a nation that has been starved of everything: water, electricity, good road, and even information. We believe that the mainstream media, all they do is regurgitate the ruinous position. When we say the ruinous, we mean the government's position. And the government position has never been in alignment with the people's position. So they're two diverse positions. Just like we provided our own borehole, we provided our own electricity through generator, we provided our own private school. We believe that it's high time Nigerians start to provide themselves their own press. That your continuous dependence on the regular press will be to your own detriment and to the detriment of your children. So we believe there need to be media, independent media houses, alternative voices, different from, there's an echo though, different from the usual voices Nigerians are used to hearing. So we started the movement radio to do this. And Nigerians are very intelligent people. They do give very instructional and very informative information regarding their pragmatic state. We believe these are the things people should hear. So the movement radio is here to change the narrative, is to empower the minds of Nigerians in particular and Africans in general. This is our purpose. So we make it a point of focus for us not to do news, not to regurgitate news or headlines. We can give you bottom lines, but we won't give you news. We'll give you well-researched articles written by Nigerians that explain or state our pragmatic reality. We'll give you things that would educate your mind, and because the biggest weapon the oppressors have on Nigerians is their mind. Their mind has been captured. Poverty has been weaponized. All institution that's supposed to be to bring the dam against tyranny have been polluted and have been infiltrated. So it's indeed a nation with a gate and no fence. So the enemy is coming in and it's affecting our people. And that's why when you hear terms like the Olodo uprising, this is what we are talking about. So we welcome you to a new month, happy new month. We say a fresh start, new opportunities, and new reason to keep moving towards freedom. Yeah, we're moving towards freedom because we are not there yet. We've only changed the colors of the colonialists. Those in charge of the plantation now are not working for us. They are working for their colonial masters or whoever it is directing their purpose, but they might be black, they might be our uncles, they might be our fathers, they might be our sisters and brothers, but they are not us because their actions and way doesn't reflect us, doesn't reflect the future for ourselves, for our children, and for children yet unborn to be born in that land. Out of every 10 Nigerian, almost 9 wants to run away from their own father's land. This is not a statistic worthy of emulation. So stay positive, stay inspired with us. Let us make this month count. All you got to do is join us, tune in, speak out, so we can make a difference. Ours is to educate. We're not just here to talk, to hear us talk, or just hear voices talk. No, that's not our mission. Our mission is advocacy, advocacy for justice, for equity, for freedom, for electricity, for water, for governance, good governance. Like we say, we are not value neutral. We do have an opinion and we do stand on the side of good value that all men, all Nigerians are created equal and they deserve the pursuit of happiness in their life without being killed by terrorists, without being killed, without being injured. So these are our beliefs. Our beliefs are deep and they go far. So if you're joining us from YouTube, we say welcome. If you're joining us from YouTube, it's going to be hard for you to join us in the discussion, but you can always leave your comment on the comment section respectfully. If you're joining us on TikTok, also the same thing. Leave your comments. If you're joining us on Instagram, the same thing. Hard for you to join the conversation, but you can always leave the comments in the comment section. If you're joining us on X, that's where you can. There are two versions on X. There's the video version. You can join in discussion on that one, and there's the regular X discussion version. You can join in. You can request a microphone. You can make a comment. You can add, delete, subtract. We are very interactive, and we welcome you. We see a few people on our X page that my eyes can see now. I see Edo Pikin. We say welcome. I see Ene Mona. I'm sorry if I messed up that name. We say welcome. Please request a microphone. Join us. So today is going to be a long first introduction. Like I said, I'm going to take the words of Barack Obama. I want to turn it inside, but before I do that, let us the rest of our crew here in the studio, let them introduce themselves. Ibukun, have you done justice to that? And then we can give the mic to Abdullahi Salisu. So I'll keep quiet for now and let them have their say. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so very much. I am indeed yours truly, Movement Radio correspondent in Nigeria, somewhere in the borders of Lagos and Ogun State. I am quite excited to be here, as I said earlier on, and I look forward to hearing the feedback as a result of our well put together, solid, program today. You know how they take the be. We they always make them very interactive from this side of things. I would break them down into pieces so that we understand what thing we they talk. All right. So without further ado, I pass the mic to our other correspondent in Abuja.
Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. This is Abdullahi Salisu, Movement Radio, Abuja. I'm here and I welcome each and every one of us on stage. And I welcome you all across all the social media platforms, the X, the YouTube, the Facebook, the TikTok, the Twitch, and each and every platform. I hope today is going to be an interesting because today's package is loaded. It's seriously loaded, and we are all ready to have a smooth ride, interactive, opinion sharing, and all encompassing. In our radio station, we are no one way flow. It's not a one way traffic, it's a two-way traffic. We air and you also air your opinion. So let's have a smooth ride. Thank you, Abdullahi Salisu.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Abdullahi Salisu, our correspondent from Abuja. I indeed value your contributions to all our well put together articles. And today we are dealing with some other article, and one of it is Beyond One Party, Nigerian Sleepwalk Towards One Man. Well, without further ado, I want to seek your indulgence, Mr. Abdullahi, to read for us carefully the article so that we can get things started, shall we? Is it very clear?
Yeah.
Yes.
Before we start on that, I want to give one long monologue about it's about 3 minutes or 4 minutes, and then we'll go to the article for today. I didn't know my microphone was not on.
Okay, you was not on, so please proceed, sir.
Okay, so let us start. The reason why I did this was that I noticed, based on all the argument going on X, it seems, well, maybe people are doing it on purpose. They just don't want to learn the true tenet of what true democracy should be. Most Nigerians actually think they have a king as a president that could not be questioned, could not be addressed, or could not be challenged, and this is very baffling. So let us start. I was possessed with this abiding faith that if we could give people more of a say in the forces that govern their lives, we could bridge some of the differences that drove us apart as a people. Then we can build a country where everyone counts and everyone has a fair shot and everyone belongs. Our hopes, our dreams, and our tragedies and our trumps, and our resilience in the face of hardship, and our quiet heroism teach us that we all have something in common with humanity. If we could only teach our ruiners, our political ruiners, like Ireland, that leadership has less to do with titles and ranks or chasing attention than with helping others find their voice and reaching their potential. Because everyone has a story to tell. If you just care enough to listen. Sacred stories full of courage, humor, and grace. And that each of those stories in some ways are connected to our own. In other words, let us find purpose here and fortify our faith here. And let us find our community with purpose. Because it is in those moments that we are reminded that our common humanity and the strength and the bonds of trust that makes our lives richer and will also make our democracy stronger. What is especially true is that in a very big, rancorous, diverse, and argumentative democracy like ours, or the one we are trying to build, because we don't truly have a democracy yet, everybody's got an opinion. And that means getting stuff done involves reconciling the demands of more than 200 million people. Now, democracy can be quite frustrating. It could be slow. It could be inefficient like ours. But more than anything, it reminds us that we can achieve when we embrace our shared responsibilities as citizens. So remembering just how radical the idea of democracy, of self-government really was, goes as far back as 1776, where it started as an experiment. To that point, as at that time, human history was a tale of conquest, castle, rigid hierarchies, and a world where the strong dominates the weak, where power and wealth and status flow through lineage, and many were ruled by the few. But out of the fire and steel of the revolution, a different story took flight. A declaration that we are all created equal, endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights, and that in the newly independent United States then that was struggling to start this democracy, there will be no king, no lord, no serfs, no subjects, but only citizens. Each of us free to pursue our own version of happiness and able to determine our collective fate through an elected representative government. It has not been done before anywhere in the world before that time. And because it hadn't been done before, the success of such an experiment was never given, was in doubt. Therefore, in forming that union that started it, those founders, they are founding fathers of that particular country, fell short of their declaration in one way. The promise by leaving slavery intact, when they were saying all men were equal, slavery was still intact at that time. And then the state in itself only restricts the franchise to white men who own property. But their forefathers, their founding fathers, were very smart in one thing, in drafting their constitution and their Bill of Rights. They had a foresight and a genius to provide a framework that allows each generation to make that union even stronger and more perfect. Now, it's been over 2 centuries and 50 years, 250 years. They were able to do this through the following: through petitions, through protests, through marches, through union action strike, labor strikes, and moral appeal from the pulpits, from the churches and their mosques, and conversations at their family dinner table. So men and women from all walks of life, of every color, every faith, every region, took it upon themselves because of that democracy experiment and made it their own. Until the people came to include not just some of the people, but all the people. In Nigeria today, Nigeria does not include all of the people. The only people that are having the dividend of the so-called democracy are those that are close to the corridors of power. The further away you are from the corridors of power, the further away you are oppressed, your humanity is diminished, you are dehumanized by this very same country that's supposed to protect you. Now, democracy does not just exist on policies, but on a shared value that makes it possible. A belief in the intrinsic dignity and worth of all people. You can't have a democracy while some of your people's dignity are worthless, while the value of their life are worthless. And that no one is above the law or beneath its protection. No one is above the law or beneath the protection of the law. Democracy includes a belief in checks and balances in government. It includes accountability that comes with it. It includes an independent judiciary and a robust free press. If you look at the Nigerian picture, none of this is available in our democracy. A belief that our military and law enforcement owe allegiance not to the president, not to the political party, but to the people and to the constitution. Currently, no one in government respects the Nigerian constitution or abides by it. Nobody. A belief in a peaceful transfer of power after people have spoken in a free and fair election. None of our elections has been free and fair. Recognizing that in a large, complicated society like ours, 250 different ethnic tribes or dialects, no group or faction gets its way 100% of the time. And a belief that qualities of character like honesty, integrity, kindness, compassion, and a sense of duty and honor, those things matter in our public dealings just as they do in our private life. None of these can be seen with Nigerian public officials. These are values and tradition we all should believe in. No matter what your religion is, you should believe in honesty, integrity, kindness, compassion, sense of duty, and honor if you are a Nigerian. And they are not political parties' value. They are human values we all can share. And it is one of our greatest inheritance from our ancestors. The story of mankind at its best because it reflects the basic faith in the decency of our fellow human beings and the possibility that despite all our differences, we can see in each other and understand one another and make a common cause together. Our actions should always match our rhetoric. We must champion human rights instead of trying to dominate and bully and squeeze every advantage just because we can, and we call that democracy. Somehow, this APC government makes it harder for us to tell a truth from a lie, like never before in the history of this country. This Tinubu government, even as it makes us more distrustful and more withdrawn and more fearful and more isolated from each other, this is a lot. And all their algorithms keeps feeding us steady stream of distraction and outrage as only the loudest and most extreme voices get attention, fanning our prejudices, appealing to our basest, most tribal instincts. It's tempting to give in to cynicism and even despair and to just say, forget Nigeria, let us just stop trying. When we lose faith in each other, when we stop believing that voting matters, that citizenship matters, that our collective voices matters, that how we treat each other, no matter, and how we give away our power to decide our future, we open the door to the most ruthless or the most careless or the most fearful among us, who see some groups and some people as more equal than others. And then we see government is nothing more than a way to divide up the spoils and punish our enemies and keep those who are different in their place. This is what we have seen in the last 3 years. 250 years that this experiment of democracy started. Many nations are getting results and are moving closer to having all men are created equal. But in Nigeria, we are actively walking backwards in time before 1776. Our people believe their president is a king. For a while, our war is non-partisan. But we here at the Movement Radio, we are not value neutral. We have a point of view. Now, there's a general saying that says that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. And this quote is often invoked by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., but it originally comes from a Boston minister's sermon more than 170 years ago. And at that time, the abolitionists, those are those people trying to stop slavery in America, the abolitionists, cause seems as if they are losing. They've lost. There was a compromise of 1850 which had made harboring fugitive slaves a crime under their federal law, even if those states had abolished slavery. And in a case that generated national attention, a young fugitive in Boston had been seized and tried and marched to the wharf by hundreds of armed officers, where he was summarily put on a ship bound back for the South into slavery, where he would have remained in shackles and chains. It was a moment of profound uncertainty and despair. A moment the minister called darker than any New England had ever witnessed. We do not see Reverend Theodora Parker observe the justice is always done on earth. Many naive is rich, sleek and honored, while the just man is poor, hated, in torment. I do not pretend, the preacher said, to understand the moral universe. The arc is a long one. My eyes reaches but little ways. I cannot calculate the curve and complete the figure by the experience of sight. I can divide it by conscience, but from what I see, I am sure it bends towards justice. The good Reverend was under no illusion about the perils and the obstacles facing the abolitionist cause. His words offer no easy answer, no comforting assurance that he or his congregation will live to see the progress they so desperately sought. Rather, it was a declaration of faith, a defiant call not to abandon hope and give way to fear, but to stay true to our better selves and true to one another, and to keep fighting to fulfill the promise of this nation. Nigeria has not given us any promise to fight for, but we have to make that promise ourselves. Even in the face of cruelty and bitter disappointment as we see with this government, even in the face of the impossible lies that they tell on TV every day, there is a new generation out there ready to write the next chapter of our story. Our job here at the Movement Radio is we intend to help them do it. And we ask that you join us. Thank you and God bless. Very long monologue, but we hope you could catch something that will touch your soul in that. Something that will free your mind. That being said, we are going to go now into our topic for today, which is Nigeria sleepwalk towards a one-man state. In order to make this interactive, I would suggest to Abdullahi and to Ibukun that we take this paragraph by paragraph. That is, we don't just do it the way we do the entire article, go straight to the pidgin version. We take a paragraph, we break it and ask if there's a discussion point on that paragraph, and then we move on. That's my suggestion. I don't know what you guys suggest.
Yes, that's
before
good.
we move on. Okay, so do I start I'll read the first two paragraphs. Beyond a one part, oh, sorry, I have to share it. I apologize. What's that sound? Who's that phone? Someone's phone is ringing. Yeah, I'm going to share the page so that those who are visual can go along with us on that page.
And please, I would like to welcome our co-host, Beatrice, on X, and she's going to help us coordinate our audience on X. And of course, please, if you have a contribution, please raise your hand, and let's allow the conversation to move around. So, Beatrice, you're welcome. How are you doing today?
Yeah. Before I start the reading, I wanted to thank Beatrice for joining us yesterday. We were not able to set up the X thing properly, but I did see you on the page towards the end, and We apologize for that. I think you should collect the studio license from Mbukun so you can come into the studio anytime you want to.
I think she can hear you loud and clear. What do you think
Okay.
about that, Beatrice?
Anytime you want to be in the studio with us, just feel free. Bukun will hook you up with the details of that.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, have we checked the audio section of the X before we proceed with the reading? Do we want to test it out, make sure we can hear people on X clearly? Can you ask Beatrice to ask for
Yes.
the mic and speak so we make sure we can hear them?
Yeah, she's already with the mic. I believe she's busy. Beatrice, are you
Oh,
there?
she's busy with something. Okay. Can anybody help us test the mic on X? Make sure the audio is pretty good. We've been having audio issues with our X. Okay.
I'm about to do that now.
Yeah. Also, we want to thank Cornelisa Baking. Oh, that's my ex schoolmate from Belgium. Joining us on which one is that on Instagram? I remember that name. Oh, I gotta hook up. That's my ex-classmate. And Chipeli joining us from there. I can't see the YouTube page, so I can't tell who is on there. And I can't see the Facebook page. I can only see Instagram and a little bit of TikTok. That TikTok, the writings are so small I can barely read it. So thank the people that have joined us. But so far we got 4 from each of the medium joining us. That's good. So Ibukun, when you're ready, tell me no so that I can start.
Yeah, I'm on it. Okay, yes, we called you.
Good. We want to make we wanted to be sure we can hear the X voice loud and clear. And we gave you an invitation for the studio anytime you want.
To the studio?
Anytime you want.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, he's not talking about physical studio. There's a virtual studio that all you have to join is to just get the link and you join the video session. Yeah, it's a virtual studio that all the panelists are present right now. So that is where we are streaming from essentially. So the virtual, if you have 2 devices, I can link you up with the studio visual section. So yeah, it's not like a Zoom call, yes, like a Zoom call, yes. But it's like it's the studio, it's a virtual studio. Yeah, I'll send you the link just in case you want to see how it looks like. But well, I think we are good for now. But I'll send you the link anyways.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I did announce it, but maybe you're not really. I announced that there will be movement radio program later in the evening. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Any other announcement?
Our sound is good.
Our sound is good. Salisu, you want to do a quick rundown of yesterday's event? Maybe a short for those who miss it, they can go check it out. It was very informative. Where we talk about Nigerians should be disloyal voters. Please, anytime you have the time to watch it, Salisu, can you tell them a little bit about what they missed?
Yes, yesterday's was very educative because we discussed a lot of issues regarding why we Nigeria needs disloyal voters, not loyal voters, disloyal voters. Voters who are only loyal to what? To a functional system, not a system that will keep failing them, not individuals that will keep failing them, but a functional system. That's all. The loyalty of the voters will not be towards an individual or towards a political party, but towards a functional system that will provide electricity, good governance, security, functional healthcare system, good infrastructure, and all the social amenities. That's where the loyalty of the voters should be. We don't need just the hey, say obedience. We need a disloyal voters who will always swing to a functional
Yes, that was what we
on
had yesterday.
about what is before us as citizens, as we claim to be. So it's a very well encompassing and well educated program. You can all go back and listen to the recorded either in YouTube, the video, or the audio version in the X. They are all there for you and it's very informative. I think you will all enjoy it. And it's something very uplifting. Your soul will be redeemed and you will be what? Uplifted and you'll be spiritually and psychologically aware. Because that's the aim of the movement radio. It's not to just tell you information, but to what? To liberate you mentally. Because we are meant to yesterday we discussed a lot of things that relate to what your psychological slavery, your psychological bondage. So, and we spoke a lot about how you will be able to what liberate yourself. So you can all do well by going and listen to what we did yesterday. It's very important, very very important. Today is just like what a follow up from what we did yesterday, and we played video by David Hudeyin, Prince Adewale, and few others.
Garbage in, garbage out comments he made, and we had a response for him. And we were shocked that the Nigerian media could not take such a man down with serious questioning regarding the ultra rubbish the finance minister is uttering
Finance
regarding the removal
minister,
of
yes. And
subsidy.
we also gave a little about what the response by Barrister Solomon Dalong and
Yes,
how he
because
responds to him.
these people need to know that we are responding. They just can't just grab a microphone and make
And say whatever they want to say.
an intelligent statement and then just expect to run with it. That is not how governance work. Governance work by question answer. If you're saying something that doesn't make sense, people should question you on it. People should challenge you. That's governance. That's democracy. There's no just
Because
grabbing the
even the
bull or
mind
running
map
to.
summarizer was
Yeah.
able to just generate more questions. Because instead of him asking questions, he will generate more questions
Yeah,
than
because they're not
answering.
sincere with governance. That is holding them accountable. So we're going to start today's show by reading this article. I say we break it down paragraph by paragraph. Beyond the one party, Nigeria sleep. Why a nation that stopped asking questions is a nation auditioning for its own tyrant, by Abdullahi Salisu Aliyu. A one-party state has factions. It has men who still owe each other favors, still fear each other, and still need each other's votes at the next convention. But a one-man state has none of that. A one-man state has none of that friction. It has a single spine, and everyone else's job is to nod along its length. Nigeria is not yet there, but every institution built to stop it right now is looking the other way. From your INEC to your police to your judges, the question we are too slow to ask. This is the first paragraph. I said we take it paragraph by paragraph. How does a republic wake up one morning inside a dictatorship it never voted for? Rarely through a coup announced on television at 5 a.m. Far more often, it happens the way water finds a crack. Quietly, legally, one defection and one silenced newsroom and one captured pulpit at a time. Until the citizens look up and discover that every institution that was supposed to say no has already said yes. And there is no one left standing between the republic and the man who will be its only voice. This is the uncomfortable thesis of this essay. A one-party state is dangerous, but a one-man state is even worse, because a party can still argue with, split, or voted out from within. A man who has absorbed every check on his power can only be removed by the very force he has spent years teaching the country to fear. Nigeria's current drift deserves to be named plainly, examined against Africa's own catalogue of cautionary tales, and resisted while resistance is still legal, peaceful, and possible. Ibukun Abdullahi, is there discussion points on this intro? This clear comparison between a one-party state and a one-man state. I now understand why that young man calls himself one man to mow. They are here to mow everybody into a one-man's directive. Now it makes sense.
Yes, that's it, because everybody is asleep. We don't know where we're heading towards. Because if you look around, everybody is just looking at, because all the people are not aware that all we are moving towards, because people are saying that, okay, we are moving towards one party state. But if you look at even within the party, someone is dictating all that is happening, and nobody is looking towards that, because the party is in the hand of one person dictating what will happen, who will get what, even the tickets. Many people that contested primaries within the same party that we think is the ruling party still have a lot of things to say, that you need to get clearance from someone before you will be able to purchase the ticket. So then someone is holding everybody to his jugular. That person is the one that is trying to dictate everything that is happening. So we are not moving towards one party state, but towards one man state. And people are like sleeping. They don't know what is happening. So it's a wake-up call.
Yes, Abdullahi, there are 2 points in that paragraph that interest me, that I think raises a question, and I don't know if our listeners agree. You said that every institution that was supposed to say no has already said yes. Is it possible in the mind of our people to list these institutions that are not doing their job, that are not there to do? So that people know we don't put anything under the table? If this institution,
the judiciary and the media.
The media, number one, is an institution that's not doing its job. INEC is not doing its job. Judiciary not doing its job.
The Nigerian labor
union.
The civil society organizations.
Civil society organization.
The religious institutions.
Religious institutions. So
The
all these
traditional institutions,
traditional institutions, it's important
the,
that
ed-
Nigerians hear this.
the
And if there are
educational,
people,
the institutional forums, like the ASU, the SANU, all of them are not doing what they need to be
what
doing.
they're supposed to do. So every Nigerian in this institution are failing to do what they should do. They're being partisan rather than being patriotic. Big difference.
Yes,
But is there anyone out there listening to us that disagree with this list or assertion? Please put your comment on the comment section respectively, or ask for a microphone to add. And if you have additions to this, let us know. So that's the fourth one. Every institution that's supposed to say no.
One other important institution that I think we should not miss out is the armed forces.
The
They are the
armed
ones who
forces,
say, they are the ones who are the megad. They are the ones that are the attack dogs.
the armed forces.
Very
Yes.
important. It's an institution that is playing a
So
huge role in this role mix of things here.
does any of
because
our
they maintain the
listeners
status quo.
they maintain the status quo? So what about the police also? The same thing. So
Yes,
that's a key point.
they are one of the armed forces.
That's
Yes,
true.
they
That's
carry
true.
arms. Yes.
They carry arms. That's true. So is there any of our listeners who disagree with this list of people as institutions that are failing in their duty to do their job? If anybody disagree or agree, we are here to educate. We can argue about facts and dispute things. If we disagree, please feel free to comment, and I'll be checking the comment section for anything. The second point on that paragraph, and I'll leave that paragraph alone, is the point that when a man who has absorbed every check on his power can only be removed by the very force he has spent years teaching the country to fear. So eventually, if such a person institutes themselves permanently, so removing them would not be possible unless through force, violence.
Yes,
Correct?
that's why if you look at history in some countries, it results toward violent protest.
Or war, like we have with
Yes,
Samuel Doe and all the other dictators that were removed, like the
and coup,
Congos.
the mostly bloody coup.
Okay. So any additions from the audience?
Well,
Subtraction?
I am keeping a very close attention to the feedback or any interjections from the X side of things, but none so far.
None
But I
so
would like
far.
to just
Okay.
ask, my question would be, is it actually, can one actually make a postulation that there are ways to actually get this done without, something that is bloody? Does it have to be a bloody revolution?
That is the opportunity
Yes,
of
but
where
it needs organized action.
organized action. That's why we are educating people. If the people are aware of what the impending danger of what they are doing, and then we start to organize, we start to educate, we start to have like mind, we can do it peacefully. But if the people persist in their ignorance and continue in the same paths they've been following for the past 26 years, the result is going to be obvious. There will be no other way. It will be a one-man state. One man to more finally wins. You understand? It's doable. That's why people like us cannot be quiet. People that know
We
should not
cannot
be
be quiet.
quiet
It's possible.
because
Peaceful
you're
means
seeing the
revolution is
danger
very
coming.
possible, but only when the people are educated, enlightened, and they are mentally aware.
And that is why we are having this discussion. That's why we are
Because
reading articles
it's
like this.
psychological.
What has been captured is the mind, and that is the chain that needs to be broken. You know, free your mind and the rest will follow. You know, emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. No one can free our mind except us. And that's what we are doing this, where we taking the pain to explain. We know a lot of people don't want to hear things like this. They don't want to join us. They don't want to do things because they would rather be with their oppressors. You know, they rather be with their oppressors and be cheerleading them, but they have to look down the line of the dangers they are building. How did you start that sentence? The tyrant that they are what? They are
Yeah.
cooking. They are auditioning for their own tyrant, and it's coming. You know, as well there. So let's move on to the next one. Any other
Yeah.
thing, addition, subtraction, any other person? Ebukun, Abdullahi, did we take care of that question?
Yes, I think we can move. The
Yes,
next
I
paragraph will
think we
give us
did justice to it.
something that we can also talk about.
About talk question. Okay. Now, the arithmetic nobody is discussing loudly enough. The arithmetic nobody is discussing loudly enough. Start with what is publicly documented, not speculated. Since 2023, Nigeria has witnessed the largest wave of political defections in its Fourth Republic history. By early 2026, the ruling All Progressive Congress controlled 31 of the country's 36 state government, a dominance built not primarily through fresh electoral mandate, but through a cascade of sitting governors abandoning opposition platform midterm. The main opposition, People's Democratic Party, which led 11 governorship as recently as 2023, had been reduced to a two-state. The Labour Party retained only one, the All Progressive Grand Alliance one more. This is that we have a quotation for those who are looking for reference. This is from The Guardian, Nigeria, APC 31 state, April 2026, March 2026, December 2026. So we're not just talking out of the air, we're giving you references because we know the defenders of evil would always be like, oh, that's just your opinion. So analysts at the Athena Center for Policy and Leadership describe this plainly as a period of heightened vulnerability, with structural indicators pointing towards gradual consolidation of de facto one-party predominance. The cable's own editorial assessment was blunder still. Nigeria's gradual slide from multi-party democracy toward a one-party system, in its words, as visible as daylight. When the party of government controls this much of the federation, not through the strength of its ideals, but through the migration of politicians fleeing to wherever power currently sits, the opposition is not merely losing election, it is being denied the chance to lose them. A one-party state is a warning sign. It is also historically the waiting room for a one-man state. Every African leader who eventually ruled for decades first ruled through a party that has stopped being able to say no to him. Any questions, any key points from this paragraph, Abdullahi? Abukun?
Well, I have no contribution. I think this article is very self-explanatory. It
Any
really breaks,
question mark there?
Yeah, I am still very much laser focused to our X platform. We are still anticipating the feedback of our audience. Please, once again, feel free to pick up the microphone and let's have this conversation. And you can disagree with us if you have references that you want to point our attention to, maybe to tell us whether or not we are being biased or we have a bias really. So we anticipate that, and they are hearing everything that is being said so far so good on X, and I believe our audience on other platforms also can hear us. Please, we are also paying attention to comments. If you drop your comments on any platform, we are going to see it in the studio here. But this article is indeed a picture, a very classic picture of our situation of things in Nigeria. How do you explain, the ruling party and of course, this is even beyond the party situation, is a one-man situation when because of one man, even the so-called opposition abandon their party. It has nothing to do with any form of political philosophy or ideology. Just because they want to align with one man at the helm of affair, the top dog, really. So it's quite alarming, really, that a party that, PDP boasted at some point that they are going to be in power for 50 years because they were also playing this exact same game of APC. But it seems as though APC has indeed taken the game to a whole new level entirely. So let's anticipate how this thing turns out, whether or not our people will resist this kind of situation or they would just adapt to it as always. I think we should, that's my own comment as far as that, yeah.
Are the people
yes,
listening?
if you look at it,
yes, if people are listening,
most
yes.
of the governors did not jump because it's because them too they want to remain, because they know if they did not move to where the power is centered, then they know. So they have to the election in the order. They didn't win the election because if you look at the Plateau State, the Kano State, all of them, even some of them, even fight their so-called godfathers to move to the next political party so that they will be with where the power lies. So most of them, and this is how it started. If you look the history of countries like Cameroon, because even the recent election in Cameroon that result to a lot of somehow things happening in the other way, the party is now in the hands of single individual controlling who will be the governor, who will be whosoever is going to be in power in the country. So that's where we are here in Nigeria. We are moving towards that direction because the power at the top is controlling the state governors, and the state governors are the pocketing the local government election in their pocket. They decide who will be the local government chairman, who will be the councillor, so that if the local government chairman decide to move in the other direction, they will one time remove him and do what they want to do with him. And at the top is the one that is controlling them. So everything is diving and sliding towards a single individual doing what he wants with the state and its people.
Has already taught us.
I think we can move to the next paragraph.
Yeah, we're on the next paragraph now. This is not alarmism without precedent. It is a pattern recognition, and Africa has supplied the pattern in exhausting detail. Cameroon's Paul Biya has ruled for more than 40 years after his party engineered the removal of term limit in 2008. Uganda, Yoweri Museveni, in power since 1986, secured the same outcome through a 2005 parliamentary vote and later removed the presidential age limit as well, allowing what analysts now describe as indefinite rule. In Togo, Guelsenebe family had held the presidency in some form since 1967. A 2024 constitutional rewrite passed without meaningful public debate created a new term, unlimited executive office, widely understood to be designed to keep the ruling family in power for a generation more. The mechanism is nearly identical in every case. A dominant party wins enough legislative seats to amend the constitution without meaningful resistance. Term limits are quietly extended or abolished. The courts that might have intervened have already reshaped by years of loyalist appointment, and the media that might have sounded the alarm has by then either been brought intimidated, or simply exhausted into irrelevance. None of these countries voted for dictatorship in a single election. They arrived at it through a decade of small individual defensible concessions. And by the time the concessions were added up, the exit had been quietly wedded shut. I'm going straight to the next paragraph since we already discussed that. Proof that we have already won this fight once. Here is the fact that ought to anchor to this essay rather than merely alarming. Nigeria has faced this exact threat, and Nigeria has already won. In 2026, a sustained campaign to amend the constitution and grant President Olusegun Obasanjo a third term collapsed in the Senate after a sustained pressure from civil society organizations. A still assertive press corps and lawmakers who refuse to trade the constitution for patronage. It remains one of the only 3 cases across sub-Saharan Africa, alongside Malawi and Zambia, in which a sitting president's attempt to extend term limit was defeated outright rather than succeeding or being quietly shelved. The victory did not happen by accident, and it did not happen through silence. It happened because enough institutions, a press that still saw its job as a scrutiny rather than stenography, a civil society still willing to organize, a legislature that has not yet been fully absorbed, did the job they were built to do. At the moment, it mattered most. The claim that Nigerians are constitutionally incapable of resisting central concentrated power is refuted by Nigerians' own recent history. The real question is whether those same institutions will hold today, and the honest answer is far less certain. So that's the question. Do we have any institutions left standing currently? Anybody want to answer that before we go on to the next one? We've done it before when the institutions were still standing. But now, do we have any institutions still standing?
I think we don't, because
Yeah.
even the vibrant civil society organizations then, they are nowhere to be found. Most of them have been absorbed. They are now deep in the pocket of the power that controls the states.
Not standing their ground. All these institutions. So, do we have elites that reason enough to say, this is the danger I'm putting my children into? Are they aware, or they just oblivion to those facts?
The ASU members that we keep seeing before, that they keep writing, they come to the media, they speak, but now they are no more.
Bukun, any comments on these people being
Well,
aware of?
It's quite that's why I said it's the reason why I said this article pictures our situation very, very succinctly, because all institutions that should push back, and that example also is quite profound. The Obasanjo example, we saw how the legislators push back. At some point, even one of the legislators was saying that Obasanjo was giving each senator about 20 million naira as at one time, and they rejected it. A particular senator at the time said there was a particular vehicle that drove in cash, and cash filled that vehicle to the brim. All right, just to share to the legislators to buy their support to extend his term beyond the usual. So that was profound, And of course, we saw the role that Sahara Reporters played as a media organization to resist that, in terms of constant exposure to what is going on. All right. So, and to some extent, we have indigenous civil society organizations that were still active at the time. All right. There is this man that is now late. I forgot I forgot his name. You know, he's actually very much active at the time to coordinate the civil society organization to ensure that they mount pressure on the system to avert that replication of Cameroon situation in Nigeria. So but now today we have no such institution exists in Nigeria again. All of them have capitulated to Tinubu and the organized syndicate, really. And
enough money to cater for their agenda for themselves and the next generation. That's why they are capitulating, or they just people who just don't see beyond the icing on the cake. Because if there's an impending storm coming, if there's an impending danger and you're not sealing your house or you're not going to safety, it's like saying the Yoruba proverb, and you're aiding it. I don't know. Does that show that you're rational, or I don't know, or what are you being offered that makes it?
It is greed. As far as I'm concerned, it is greed.
Now the
People are
National
so
Assembly
greedy.
itself.
You say what's happening?
I said the National
perpetual
Assembly,
thing.
I don't expect anything positive from them, because when you have the likes of the Senate President and the Speaker, House of Representatives, most of them with questionable issues, because they are probably, we can still remember, of the mic issue. And most of them, how they come into power and what transfer. So they are people of questionable moral characters. So you don't expect them to do anything
I read
that
that
will save the country.
about what democracy is. People think it doesn't involve character. Every time we're playing politics. No, that's not politics. That's economic sabotage.
Because
That's crazy.
in Nigerian politics, they say there is no morality in politics.
That's not true. I just read a speech from that Obama was saying, what matters in your private life should matters in your public life. That's true democracy. Not this
That's
garbage
how
we're
democracy
doing.
should work.
Anyway, can we continue? Any question? Are you checking on
Yes,
the Medium, TikTok? Any questions from YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or X? Anybody requesting a mic?
I just want to ask if there's by any chance a speaker from your studio that is sounding.
A speaker, yeah. Let me try to follow up.
Aha, it is that speaker that is indeed giving us that echo effect.
Okay, yeah, there's a second speaker.
But I think we can manage. Let's just, maybe we'll have to work on that later.
Okay.
So, but I'm laser focused on. I'm focused on looking forward to having the contribution of our listeners and audience on X.
Okay.
And of course, you don't have to even pick up the mic. You can drop your comments. But we know that we do not have this culture of participation. So it's part of what we want to facilitate on Movement Radio, for us to have that culture of participation. Where would they participate? If there's any discussion where they happen, we have to do with our collective interest. Make they talk about it. Comment, drop a comment. If you have the circumstance to pick up the mic and speak your mind. And part of waiting they happen to us for Nigeria, we say something they wrong. And even part of the institution that has failed the masses, because some people would postulate that the highest office in any country is the office of the citizens. Office of this, that the masses themselves, they are an institution. But when you have a masses that do not really care,
of democracy.
Yes, because let's even ignore all of these, greedy bastards. Excuse my French. If we are to ignore them for a minute, how about the masses? What is the role if the institution have failed? How about the people? for them to rise up and carry out their own civic responsibility as an institution in their own right, because the masses in themselves, but based on the article itself, we have indeed been exposed to the fact that these guys in power, they have re-engineered the minds. Part of the institution that they have infiltrated is the masses. They have turned the psychological, resistance, instincts of the masses to a docile one. So they did that as an homework so that they can continue their reign and paradise of exploitation, really. Yeah.
I would like to divide the masses into two. Those who are educated, and have, rather than be the candle that lights the world, with their education. One candle lights another candle lights another candle. That's how the whole world gets to have light. But rather than be a candle that illuminates their community, they've chosen to kiss the ring for one reason or the other. When you say the masses are quiet, you can't blame the market woman selling akara or the one selling granuts. Those are, they follow those who they see are learned among us. So when we say masses, maybe we should be more specific to the learned ones among us, because they're supposed to be the first candle that lights the other candles before we get to 1,000,000 candles. So if they are not lighting candles, if their life is not shining through to their community and providing a doorway, but all they want to do is steal from their community or feel empowered that they have stepped into the shoes of the white man. They are now the big man. They are now superior than their fellow brothers. Maybe that's where the issues lies. But before we start analyzing that, let's continue with the next one. But we pay emphasis on we don't have elites. It's the elites among us that are key. Yeah, we have about 28 people, and I can't tell if those 28 are from YouTube. And then we still have a few more people joining us from that Instagram. I called a few names: Joluwa, Owo Blow, Sarah Chibe, Mayanes, and Uchenna. We welcome you all. I'm so sorry I can't see the names on TikTok. The names are they're so small. I need bigger glasses, and I can have access to those on YouTube and those on Facebook. I do not have access to those. But continuing our read up, the watchdog that learned to fetch. The watchdog that learned to fetch. A free press is the first casualty of every consolidation project on this continent, because it is the cheapest institution to neutralize and the most expensive one to lose. Nigerian media scholarship has been documenting this erosion for years. Nigerian media scholarship has been documenting this erosion for years in language too dry to alarm anyone. Peer-reviewed studies of ownership pattern consistently find that the editorial decision correlates directly with political and commercial interests of the owners, producing what one 2026 academic study bluntly called proprietorial control that entrenches power arrangements and erode media oversight. Several of the country's most influential newspapers and television stations are owned outright by serving or former politicians and their business allies. A structural conflict of interest that does not require a single act of censorship to distort coverage, because the incentive against scrutiny is already built into the balance sheet. Even the profession's own guide has turned its criticism inward. An April 2026 assessment published in the Nation accused the Nigerian Guild of Editors and the Nigerian Union of Journalists of being preoccupied with reactive institutional posturing rather than confronting the deeper structural crisis facing journalism. A diagnosis that lands especially hard coming from the inside industry, rather than from its critics. A press this cannot perform its founding function. It was supposed to be the mechanism by which citizens learn in real time what power is doing in their name. Instead, in too many newsrooms, it has become the mechanism by which power learns how to keep the public calm. So this is an indictment on the press. We have sources for this. Redeemer University Journal of Management and Social Science, published in 2026. You can check this out. And also Government Media Relation and Crisis Transparency, published in 2025, Kogi Journal of Educational Pedagogy. So we have reference to this part. So if anybody was saying we're just sucking out of our nose, they can go and check these academic references. This is an indictment of the press. And before we even discuss this paragraph, this is why we have this movement radio. We strongly believe that for us to make progress in Nigeria, we have to ignore everything that is coming from the Nigerian press. And we're going to mention it. Could be Arise, could be Channel, could be LTV, it could be NTA, particularly LTV and NTA, those are just, and Channel, those are just terrible. It could be those newspapers, the Vanguard, the Times, the Punch. They have failed themselves, they have failed their country, they have failed their profession, and they are nothing but a big disgrace, a big disgrace. Because they're supposed to be the light and the educational forum for the people, the mirror. A good example was when 2023 happened. The media should have been the one explaining what the Constitution says. If there is no Abuja, you can't swear in. But all the media kept mute because they are owned by the same people running for office. Personally, I believe there is no movement that wants to change Nigeria that continues to listen to the Nigerian media that will be effective. Because the voice that they echo is only the voice of the ruiners. They don't echo or speak on behalf of the people. If anybody is out there listening to us and you disagree with this position, please state your opinion, type it in, or grab a microphone, call in. And if you agree, do the same. But we are firmly believe that the media are our number one enemy within. Abdullahi and Ibukun, over to you guys.
Yes, I have no doubt in my mind that you are indeed speaking the fact, and the fact are so obvious, that the Nigerian media, and that is why, the people have to fund their own media organizations. And in fact, like platforms like Movement don't even need your funding, really. All it needs is your attention, your support in terms of, sharing it. When we are live, we share the live, you comment, you like, you repost, you subscribe. That is all it needs, really. Platforms like Movement Radio does not even need your funding. But he who pays the piper dictates the tune. If the people are supporting their own media organizations like the Movement Radio, it would most likely keep doing the bidding of the people. It will most likely keep staying on the side of the people, exposing the rot in the system and educating the masses. But to as many as those that believe that this current media outfit that is honed and, that is micromanaged by the very same entities in power, and they want to believe that somehow these same entities will suddenly begin to stay on their side or expose the rot, they are kidding themselves, because it is the politicians that own the platforms. They are the ones that pay the journalists. So journalists would actually give the reporting or try to dilute the rhetoric just to favor the politicians, because they are the ones that pays is bills. So whoever pays the piper dictates the tune, and that states that that knowledge will motivate the people that if they really want great media, if they want the correct press, they should pay attention to organization, news outfits such as the movement radio, to give them the real news. All right, not just headline and bottom lines, not just all of the rhetoric, the sensation, but matters that has to do with their collective interest. So it's very, very important people stop shooting themselves in the leg and pay attention to the movement radio and other media outfits that are indeed on their side. So, and how are they going to do that? By following, by subscribing, by liking, sharing, commenting, and of course, the movement radio have even made it very, very easy. You can basically cherry pick any platform that suits you. All right, you don't have to, if you don't have Twitter account, you don't have to now go and open Twitter account because you can access movement radio. You can on that your Instagram, stay on Instagram, and have access to the studio and see whatever we are doing here. And you can contribute by commenting, and we'll see it in real time. All right. So there's no point having 47 people join us without contribution, and that is indeed how you are going to reward the effort of people's platforms like the movement radio. So this is the lesson for us, really. It's a big lesson that do not play the victim when politicians use their own paid media to carry out their own their own cause. And the cause is the cause of exploitation and oppression. All right. When you refuse to support mediums that will expose the rot. So it's very, very simple. I don't have to be repetitive. So that's my own take on it.
Let me oppose you there a little bit. Before I do that, I want to give credence to those that have joined us on X. I see OIA there, Freno, and Mona Ajanaku, Edo Pikin, Diana, and Henry. Do a great job. It's not like people are not participatory. It's like, what question are we framing for them to answer? If there's anyone out there who disagree that the Nigerian media, as currently constituted, is a problem or is not a problem, let us know. We believe, so a lot of people who are journalists would disagree with us and say, well, the journalists are doing their best. The environment is not safe for them. It is risky. These are valid points that needs to be reviewed. Nobody wants to go to a job and come back home dead or in a coffin. So, could be the environment too dangerous for them? We don't know. But for the sake of preventing tyranny ruling over us, ruling over our children and our great-grandchildren, we are saying for today, there is a need for those who went to school to learn journalism to live up to the ethics of the profession with which they signed for. That's just the argument we're pushing out there.
But how are they going to live up to the ethics when the politicians are the one paying their salaries?
They have to start something.
That is where it gets tricky.
These are the conundrum issues that need to be discussed. Not just giving excuses. We all want a great nation. We all want our children to inherit a good nation, a good country. But we are very quick to say, Tinubu is the problem. The governor is the problem. What about you? In your own profession? What's your contribution? I think someone is requesting a mic. I don't know who that. Ibukun, can you attend to that? Well, Abdullahi, what do you have to say on the media situation?
I have brought the person up. Yes.
Abdullahi, what
please
do you got to say before our guest speak?
Mr. Abdullahi.
Yes, I think let the person go ahead. Then I will comment at them.
Okay, our guest speaker, I can't read your name. Your name is such a tongue twister. Winchester, are you there? Winchester?
Yes. Hi, everybody. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, loud and clear. We can hear you.
My background, but I have a question.
Okay.
First of all, thank you for opening the space. I don't think I've ever attended one of these before, but I like the direction in which it's going, so I definitely will be back. My first thing was I don't necessarily know that I agree with not paying attention to the Nigerian media. I think you do need to pay attention to them to understand the perspective from which the establishment is trying to frame its shortcomings, so we can know how to effectively counter those before, like, they spread, or before they become the pervasive narrative. I'm not saying that, like, the average listener should direct most of their resources to analysis or channels or whatever. But I do think, like, for research purposes, if like movement radio is going to like present an effective counter to like the narratives that are pervasive, then they have to know what the other side is saying so that they can effectively counter. So that was my first thing. And then my second thing was, in addition to discussing how, I guess, dangerous it is to be a journalist in Nigeria, and how, like, the compensation for wages is not even like near what it should be, right? And the standard of living is not near what it should be. I feel like we should also discuss how a captured judiciary makes it more difficult for independent journalism to thrive. Because, for example, if I say something which I know to be true, and then I get sued by a very wealthy politician, there's no guarantee that the judges are not in his pocket, that and to grant them basically to essentially strip my life savings away. So what exactly do we do about such a captured system? But that's what I have to say for now. Thank you guys for hosting the space, and I'm looking forward to your answers.
Thank you so very much indeed. What she's saying, let me just pass your message across to the studio here, because I believe the audio is not still as excellent as we want it for now. We will keep improving, but she's essentially saying that what do we do about the captured media and the captured institutions, all right, like the judiciary, what's the antidote to these
So those
sad
that's
years? Yeah.
that's a before Abdullahi, before you go, let me chip in my own opinion. That's a very good question. Personally, for the media, I believe that luckily for us, and I'm dead serious about this, luckily for us, this age of technology, internet, and technology has provided us an ample opportunity. It's just up to us now to now step into the shoes and say, I am ready, I am willing to do something about the media. That's the answer for there are two answers. The answer for the media is separate for the answer for the judiciary. You understand? That's number one. For the media, just like, even though I personally advocate against people doing what the government should do, but when it comes to the media, I believe this is one of the first primary things people should do for themselves. Because my people die for lack of knowledge. And if you have a media that is not serving your interest, as a person, begin to invest in the media. Today's age has provided it that you can cook something from them from your kitchen and you can serve it to them on their dinner table. You might not be as powerful as Arise. You might not be as rich as Arise or Channel. But you could do something, particularly for those of us who are living in the diaspora. A few $100, you could employ somebody who could get you direct information. You could diversify your opinion. If the bad media is reporting on the ruiners, you want to report on the people. You understand? These are projects we have to take up ourselves if we want a better country. Because the fact remains, nobody's coming to do that for ourselves, for us. No savior. No, none of these Western countries is going to come fix our country. We got to do it ourselves. That's for the media. Little investment. It won't cost you much. You don't have to have a big, mighty station. For less than $100, you can set up a studio. You can have a studio stream. Have your voice out there. Participate in discussion. When people are on X, using public medium to alter falsehood. You have to remember one thing. Ignorance also spread like wildfire. Jump in, correct them, present facts. Let them know that the Olodo uprising is something you have to stand against, because you know better, and those who know better can do better. You stop the ignorance. Don't be worried about their sensibility. That is the blackmail they use to get you to keep quiet. Just like you won't allow a bully to keep slapping you, you cannot allow ignorance to keep spreading because it would have consequential effect on your children. That's an answer for the press. Now, for the judiciary, the same thing. You're not in the judiciary, but you read articles that some judgment defiles logic. Some judgment contradicts constitution. It's your duty to figure out who is the judge behind that judgment. Call them out. Compare countries and say, in the state, I will go into the law, read. This is the purpose of education. What does the law say? Why was this person rule like this? Don't accept the argument that it is only those who are in that profession that can comment on that issue. Common sense is not that common, but it is everywhere. So we all have a role, but we shouldn't shy away from our role. Yes, we can't solve everything, but you can make a solution in your little niche, in your area, in your circle. If it is one person you know that is telling lie and has a public medium, get on that medium and counter that person. Although there are some medium I wouldn't go to, like those bigotry medium. Just me, I wouldn't. No matter how they can have the world on their bigotry, I wouldn't touch them with a pole. I wouldn't go there. But there are some medium and those are the most dangerous medium that pretend to be balanced, and then they give a room for the most toxic opinion, all in the name of equal rights to speech. Let me tell you, everyone is entitled to an opinion, but not all opinions are equal. We cannot make mainstream the opinion of a pedophile. The same way in our communal health, we cannot be allowing people who are lying to our face, people who are denying the pragmatic reality of our condition, people who are dehumanizing us in the name of the fact that they believe that some are more equal than others. You can't allow such people to have a podium and not challenge them. The moment you keep quiet on such issue, you have kept quiet on things that matters. Now, I say I don't go to bigotry studio. It doesn't mean I'm keeping quiet about it. I don't go there as a form of protest. I don't go there to add to their numbers. What do you say about Nigerians today? Click a page. I can even go through the X page and you see the most mundane discussion going on. And they will have huge, large numbers. Huge, large numbers. I can read the topic that they are talking about. I can share the page with you if you are visual. So such medium, we just give madness a license. And we, the good people, we keep quiet. Evil thrive when good people do nothing. That's the problem. I know I'm preaching, but this is not a preacher's answer. What do we do specifically to judges that are bad? The type that Dele Farotimi stopped practicing. He wrote a book. This is what citizens do. The likes of what Showore is doing, taking Inspector General to court when you know he should not be serving. He should have retired. This is what citizens do. We all can be quiet. And when we have a few mad ones among us, we have to call them for their madness, boldly and strongly, without fear or favor. That's the role you can play. And when time comes and history judges you, history will judge you as you did something. When your country was in crisis, at least you did something. I'm not trying to preach. I believe Abdullahi will have a more specific answer to the journalism-ish question and the judges issue. Yeah. Go ahead, Abdullahi.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Alawa, because you have actually touched a lot of angles. But to be specific, in terms of the media, yes, we can't take it away from the issue of the ownership influence. The ownership influence is very, very important, and it influences a lot of things within the media space. Because Even when you are studying media and journalism, they will always tell you that one of the major problem of the media is ownership problem, the in-house policy. And the in-house policy, every media organization in Nigeria you have, it has its own in-house policy. And if you start, because if you go through some reviews, that's some research, and you go through how research was studied towards the in-house policies and how it give people half-baked truth through the news, is something alarming, because they will tell you you can't publish this because this person is a friend to a friend to a friend to the owner of the media. So it's something very alarming, and you can't take it. But which way can we go to make sure that, okay, those medias did not influence the people? Many, as we have as many as possible as content creators online. That's why, as Mr. Alaba said, we have ample opportunity at our own hand. The new media, we can what convert those our spaces, the media, the X space, the Facebook content creator, the TikTok, the YouTube channels, all of them, we can convert them into what community media. Even in the media education, they will tell you what there is what we call community media. So that we can convert them into community media. It's a virtual space, so you have less control. You go out, nobody will tell you can't go and interview people. You can't go and report the act. When the media, the conventional media, the so-called captured media, are saying what they want to say, you slap them to their face with facts, with the real issues. That will make them, you will force them to change. Because when you slap them at their face, okay, when they report that this is what is happening, when they have what the real issues glaring at their face, every content creator from that angle, is reporting the fact. Them too, they have no any other option but to change. Everybody, yes, the lie can be very loud, but when the truth comes, it what is scare away the lies. So that's the way we can fight them. We can tell them that, look, what you are, even the owners, is either, if they want to keep telling the people the lies, then the people will have to choose in between the lies and the truth. So that's to be specific in that aspect of the media. The media, we did not say, okay, you can leave them to keep doing what they are doing, but listen to facts. Always, even you within your own space, you can use your social media handles, social media platforms to what news is not something that you just keep reporting what is happening in your own locality. If all of us will keep reporting exactly what is happening in our locality, will counter the conventional media, the captured media. We will force them to say the truth. Then in the judiciary, even in the judiciary, we can also hold them to account. Issues happen, and they said the judge, the law is blind. It only deals with fact that is presented to it. So in every case, we should try as much as possible to prevent contempt of court. But we can also always present and always follow cases. And those judges and those lawyers, they are not different from us. They are all humans. They all have families. And also they are afraid of some things. Just like Mr. Alawa said, you call their names. And when they are given their valedictory, you call them and you those things in each and every case that judge precise over. You come and you discuss it. This is the judgment. So that even when they call people in their valedictory session, that when they are leaving, they are retiring, they should people should know them for what they did. So many of them at the end of the day, when they come back to the community and they know this is what has happened to this person and this person and this person because of the things they did to the people, so they have nowhere to run to because they know they are coming back to the society, so they must do the right thing. So we must make sure we hold we the people, we can hold everybody to account, because that's one good thing about what the modern governance system is. Even if you are not practicing democracy, but you are, no matter what kind of governance you are practicing today, this modern connectivity, this internet, have given the people the opportunity to what, to hold everybody to account. So I think we have no excuse. We cannot say that the media cannot do. We can do it. If the media cannot do it, we can do it. I can use my X space, my X account, my Facebook account, to always report what is happening. Even when the media is saying that nothing happens in my community, I know what happens in my community. So we challenge them. We see who is who. At the end of the day, the truth always stand. The lie always fade. So I think the best way we can do, both the judiciary and the media, we can all hold them to account. Because yes, we know who pays their salary, who pays the piper, dictate the tune. Yes, but who is paying us? Nobody. We don't have electricity, we don't have anything. So since no one is paying us, let's all say the truth. When you start it, someone will join you, just like the way we are doing in movement radio. Then other people will also do in their own little space. Come in, contribute. It's very important. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Abdullah. Any other person with comment before I go to the next article? The next paragraph. This one is very interesting. Yeah, are we ready? Okay. Can I go on, Bukun? I'm waiting for your go ahead.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Yes, yes.
Okay. This part is quite interesting, and we will need input on this one. The artist who forgot the assignment. There was a version of African popular culture that understood exactly what his job was. Fela Anikulapo Kuti built an entire musical language, Afrobeat, as a direct weapon against military impunity, mocking soldiers as mindless zombies and naming state violence in lyrics. The government tried and failed to silence him with raids, beatings, and imprisonment. Across the continent, we have Mariam Makeba's voice became so identified with the fight against apartheid that the South African government revoked her passport rather than let her keep singing at home. Thomas Sankara, Burkina Faso, Amika Cabral, Guinea-Bissau, and countless independence movements elsewhere treated musicians, poets, playwrights as essential infrastructure of liberation, not decoration around its edges. Measures that inheritance against a contemporary entertainment culture in which the loudest public disputes among Nigeria's most visible artists tend to concern chart position, luxury vehicles, brand endorsements, and proximity to whichever politician is currently paying for a concert. This is not a demand that every artist become a pamphleter, and plenty still do brave political work quietly at their own risk. But an industry whose central gravitational pull have shifted from confronting power to cutting it has surrendered one of the most effective, culturally resonant tools any resistance to authoritarian consolidation has ever had. Silence sung in a beautiful voice is still silence. A generation that could turn a nightclub into a rehearsal space for a revolution has likely rented its stage to the very system it should be interrogating. That's the state we are in now. Basically, it's saying to whom much is given, much is expected. A lot of our people have a microphone, they have a podium, they have a stage, they have opportunities to influence their own environment. Now, this might interfere with their survival. They might lose contracts, you know, but history has shown us that a lot of people have used their artistry gifts as a weapon to help their society. But what do we have today? We have artists who have forgotten their assignment. You didn't just rise to be an artist to be quiet about the pains of your community, about the sufferings of your people, particularly if such sufferings is going to affect your future generation. You have a role to sing about it, to say something about it. You cannot be an artist who wants to make money alone, but you cannot call a few disorders in your community. You cannot call them to question. This is what this paragraph is saying. What has been the role of our artists in the damage that we find ourselves in? I don't know if anybody has comments or suggestions or removal from this, but I believe that paragraph is hitting it hard. So whom much is given, much is expected. Ibukun, Abdullahi, what's your guys? Anybody asking for a mic on this artist issue? Expectation from artists. You know, we've nailed down the journalists. Now we're talking about the artists among us. You know, are they going to be putting their life in danger just talking about events that is happening in their community? I don't know.
When legends like Fela Anukulako Kuti, you know, is being referenced multiple times for using, you know, recognizing the importance of music as a mass media. Music is a form of mass media. Many of these artists have billions of streams on Spotify, on Apple Music, on AudioMac, on Boomplay. They've got a presence. They've got an audience. All right. And whether or not they are aware that this audience are going through a lot from a fascist state, hence the need for them to make their composition or use their craft to wake the people up is another ballgame entirely. Because many of these so-called music artists also, they themselves need a mental, you know, emancipation. They themselves are victim of the system. They are a product. That's what I'm saying. They are a product of the system. You know, the colonial education is still very much. So all they care about is how they want to accumulate wealth. All right. They don't care about their audience and the welfare of those that listens to their music. That is why, you know, people like Fela would always be idolized forever because, you know, he had the, if you listen to Fela music very well, he had the, he can indeed sing about
Hold on. I don't mean to interrupt you. So
yes,
you're saying, hold on, Ibukun,
I can hear you loud and clear. I can hear you.
I was saying, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I thought you're making a point there. So you're saying that most of the artists we have are not conscious of the pragmatic reality that we live in. Yeah.
Yes.
They're not conscious.
I believe so. Yes.
They are not awake yet. And so there's nothing they can help spread if they themselves are not awake. So it's like you're saying that the artists are like an educated fool with money on their mind. You know, they just see
absolutely
the purpose of life is just to make money. So
yes,
that's the problem,
absolutely.
right here. If they then, but don't you think there should be, if there are people in the community that are a little bit aware, they should play a role in reaching out to these artists to try to make them aware? Because I do know that in the United States, the Nation of Islam, when they saw that Muhammad Ali was a big name and a champion, they did reach out to Muhammad Ali to conscientize him to the struggle. You know, the likes of Malcolm X did that in the United States. And I believe the Martin Luther King movement also reached out to several of their artists. I can't remember the man's name, like several artists that helped with the movement. So it could be a failure on both sides. You're claiming you're conscious, but there are others, you're pointing finger, they are not conscious. Have there been efforts for parties to reach out to the unconscious mind, or it will just be a futile effort? I don't know. I'm just
Yeah,
throwing words out there.
you've got, yes, you've got a very solid point right there. And based on the fact that um, I have privileged information with regards to my own political organization. Yes, we are reaching out. It's on record that Shure reached out to Banky W at some point. It's on record that Sheon Kuti of the Movement of the People reached out to Banky W also at some point. It's on record that Shure has once reached out to Burna Boy at some point. All right. So the whole reaching out is not something that we can really accuse platforms like the African Action Congress for. And Shure is always, and if you observe his style of activism, he's very open to everybody. And even if you are a staunch enemy, he would always offer you the olive branch to join the struggle. And many people have criticized him for that. Why would you offer these guys, always offer them the olive branch? Because he believes that if just a significant majority, or no, not majority, a significant portion of these so-called popular artists and elites, if they can be conscientized and they can commit class suicide, it would help the emancipation struggle a great deal. So as even recently as Malami, he offered him the olive branch that why not denounce your class and organize the people's liberation struggle. Malami denied it right there and there.
It looks like somebody is requesting the mic. Hold on, Ebokun, someone is requesting the mic on X, and I don't know which of the medium.
It's Beatrice. I have accepted our request.
It looks like we got more than 105 in one of the medium. I don't know which.
The medium is indeed is the Ferreira 839010 on X. The video platform.
Medium.
That is where we are getting most of the viewers.
Someone is requesting a microphone. We don't want to deny people the chance.
I have accepted. Yeah, she's talking right now. Oh, so sorry about that. Okay, let me communicate with my panel on the studio here. Beatrice is saying that she missed the part where I said Burna Boy. I was referring to, there's a tweet. I can refer you to the tweet when Shure was actively calling on Burna Boy to join the struggle during the NSAS movement. And Burna Boy outrightly said, I have no business with such a thing. Do not ever, approach me on matters like this. It's on record. So we cannot really accuse these artists that there are no revolutionary vanguards reaching out to them. They are the ones, in fact, many of them would tell you, and okay, even let's use VDM as a classic example again. All right, VDM sat down and made a very lengthy video of why he would never indeed use his platform to conscientize the people. And he indicted Shure for reaching out to him multiple times that is why he doesn't want to join Shure's movement, doesn't want to join Shure's party or Sheon Kuti's movement of the people's movement. He rejected the whole idea of using his platform, which constitutes a mass media, to conscientize the people, because it's got a very, big demographic of young people. I'm talking about VDM. So there are efforts to reach out to them. So them rejecting the effort is a different ballgame.
Listen, Ebokun, this is my own belief. I believe that they don't have to join anybody's organization, and they don't have to openly support. But if anyone in this world believes that they are woke, they have to keep up continuous trying to reach people. Look at us, for example. You know how many episodes we've put out there? How many times we'll come on here? How many people join us? Does that stop us? No, because it's a mission that just got to keep going. If you have to make a newspaper, keep sending it to their home, you do it, because it's the future of your children that is at stake, and you need people. That's what I say. Abdullahi, what's your own view on that before we move on to the next paragraph?
Yes, actually, I think we can't stop. We need to keep pushing. And no matter what, the people, the artist to me, I think a space is created for them, which is temporary. And many of them don't know it's temporary. If you look at it, before it's other people there are other people on the table and they are not there. Now is your own opportunity to be in the table to dine with the so-called, let's say, the devils. That opportunity is either what use that opportunity to create a, a space so that the table will be destroyed, so that for the good of the collective, or you allow the table to remain there and one day your seat will also be kicked out and you will be kicked out and your seat will be occupied by someone. So the artists, most of them forgot the reason why they are there. They are influential people. They have the mass demography of people cutting across all levels.
Yeah.
But we can, because sometimes you will be that popularity overwhelm them. So we also need to keep reminding them that this is your assignment. You have to keep doing in order to save your people. Those fans that you have, they are suffering. Instead of you coming and be giving them hampers, why don't you make that liberation possible so that that hampers can rest and the people will all be emancipated. So it's just we need to also keep reminding them. So just like the way we started with the media, we go to the artist. Let's move to the next paragraph.
Yeah, thank you, sir, very much, Abdullahi. Any other person asking for a microphone before we go to the pulpit and the palace? There's a lot of people who are joining us. We just want to get the people just joining us. We are here
Beatrice wants to
discussing
chime in.
Nigeria's sleepwalk into
Yeah,
a one-man
Beatrice,
state.
Beatrice wants to chime in. Beatrice, are you there?
Okay,
Please proceed.
Beatrice, I just wanted to remind the people the topic, and we are taking it paragraph by paragraph. We have about 115 people on other medium. We thank them for joining us. This is the Movement Radio. Beatrice, you can go ahead.
Can you remind us the overall topic?
Yeah, the topic is on the jumbotron. Nigeria's sleepwalk towards a one-man state. That is the topic.
Okay. So yeah, no, me, I just wanted to add my 2 cents. Or extended an olive branch or an invitation to this struggle. I will say Shore is very mature. At least, because me, I can never reach, I don't know, as of right now, as of today, Sunday, I don't think I have the kind of maturity to ever approach a burner boy to come and join the struggle. Oh, not possible. It reminds me of a phone call I had with a fellow comrade. I'm sure you guys are familiar with her, Comrade Michelle, right? She was talking to me about, some things that space today, our Sunday space, to air out those, those opinions. Because I think some of the things that she said were she feels like, at least that's what I got from what she said in our conversation. She feels like there's some things that our comrade leader should honestly not gear his attention to, because of he has proved himself over the years. He has been consistent with his ideology. In fact, we have the last thing that happened with the whole Tyler debacle, a lot of people felt like
he probably shouldn't have said anything about it. That some of these things that require some kind of inconvenient stance, that it should be left to us, not him, because he has a campaign to focus on and prioritize. But if it's anything like that, let us, the people, face that, and you know, solely face the campaign. And I'm not going to lie, I understand our sentiment, and I feel like it's something worth discussing. So I know he has, you see, that's why I had to like remind myself of the topic, because I just know that once I start talking or continue to talk, it will veer off elsewhere. But yeah, the whole brother boy thing just reminded me of that, there's some things that, because he can't possibly be everywhere. He can't possibly speak about everything all the time, right? So there's some things that should be like retired so that he doesn't spread himself too thin and doesn't how would I say? What is that word? And doesn't
You mean burnout?
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Warn himself out. Thank you, and right. So yeah, I think it's something worth.
Yes, you've got a point there, but well, where I have a bit of a concern there is that there was an example of Muhammad Ali. Okay, I think the host wants to say something. Let me just pause right there. Yes. Yes, proceed. You say something. Yeah. Mr. Alaba, you were saying something. Please
Yeah,
proceed.
I wanted us to move on to so that we can finish the entire. Yeah, we will come back to that issue later on. So the next one is about the pulpit and palaces. So the pulpits and the palaces that sold their silence. So Nigeria's religious and traditional institution carries moral authority that predates the republic itself. Precisely the authority of the Oyomesis and the Ogbonis once wielded to hold rulers to account. And the authorities of countless imams, pastors, and traditional rulers have used as pivotal moments to defend justice over convenience. That authority is not gone, but it is increasingly being rented out. Campaign season routinely turns pulpit into de facto endorsement platform. And the same 2026 budget controversy that allotted billions of naira to church and mosque construction project, detailed in this publication's previous analysis, illustrates precisely how public religious infrastructure has become entangled with political patronage rather than public accountability. When spiritual and traditional leaders trade their independence for proximity to state largesse, they stop being the conscience of the nation and start becoming another constituency to be managed. A people cannot look to institution for moral clarity once this institution have been placed on the payroll of the very power they are meant to judge. Yeah, this before anyone comment, I have two basic comments on this issue of the puppets selling their soul and collecting their 12 shillings. While this is wrong, while the churches and the mosques should be, and our traditional rulers should be the ones who morally guide the society to a better society, most of them have failed in this duty. I I personally want to blame that failure. While I blame it on their own will, number one. Secondly, I want to blame it on the failure to properly constitute their roles in society legislatively. I believe that the failure for us to have an adequate constitutional conference that clearly define what the role of the religion institution would be, what the role of the traditional rulers institution would be, what the role of all these religious organization would be, constitutionally mandated and stated clearly, not in the modeled constitution that was already crafted in 1999. I think even though it's a moral issue for these traditional rulers and religious issue, it is also a foundational issue based on the fact that the people never got together to say, this is what I expect. So while traditional rulers are hustling for survival because they depend on local government and state for survival, they have to sing to the tune of those that pay them. The same thing now, religious institution. Religious and politicians are in a symbiotic relationship. Religious can deliver votes for politicians, through deception, but politicians need religion. So there's that interwoven relationship with them that needs to be clearly demarcated by the rule of law, whereby everybody knows where they stand and what they are rolling. We have not gotten there as a nation, as a democracy, and that's why a lot of people are advocating for the constitution to be rewritten, that the people should say what they want things to be. But Nigeria is a jungle where anything goes. I don't know if anybody has comments on. We all know about how corrupt our religious leaders are, although do not touch my anointing. Even those who did say the truth are being attacked by the Agbadorians for saying the truth in relation to the pragmatic reality of the country. And this goes on like that. And so I don't know if any other person has a comment, addition on why the puppets sold their silence and the palaces. So I think for the palaces, it's inevitable because they have no clear constitutional duties for them. And that's because the constitution was not properly written. The people didn't come together to write. Just the military wrote that constitution. And you can go on and on that argument. But you can excuse the palaces, but I don't know if you can excuse the puppets. That's my own say. Abdullahi, what's yours?
Yes, to me, I think the same way we cannot excuse the puppet, we cannot excuse the palaces. To me, because as we said, the palaces are what the custodians of what culture. So, as custodians of culture, part of our culture is good moral standing, which include good moral etiquette. So, in a way that the constitution did not clearly specify their responsibility, but the traditional and cultural aspect clearly states their functions. So there is left for them, and most of them have relationships with these people, so-called ruiners, the ruiners of the state. So they have this relationship is for them to struggle and create. If they can, since they don't have space and they don't have clear constitutional responsibility, let them bring the people, because they are the ones that are more closer to the people, so that they will mobilize the people, organize the people. Then the people will be able to make this. They will join the hands with the people and challenge the system, so that the system will give them clear responsibility, and it should give them what they deserve, because the traditional institutions are there even before the federation. So since the so thrown constitution by the military did not recognize them, so they need to fight and get that space. They are deserved space, and they have to work with the people. But instead of doing that to get the deserved space constitutionally, no, they turn away and just get what they will get, the little they are getting from the ruiners, and keep up making the people more. They are not different from the people, because if you can look at the example by what happens with some traditional leaders in Nigeria, the Kano case and other cases across the country, how a local government chairman can just, or the governor will decide to change one or two traditional rulers in the state. So that shows them that they are not different from the people. So in order for us to all be liberated, them to have to occupy their rightful position in the constitution, they should also work, but no, they are not. So they are the same thing. Likewise, the pulpit, instead of them having the spiritual rights and the moral standing that they should preach and tell the people the truth, when things are not going right, they should be able to say it directly, as blunt as it is, to the people at the helm of affairs, but they are not doing that. So both the palaces, me and the pulpit and the palaces are the same thing. They are inexcusable to my own belief because they all connive, contribute, and join hands to what? To maintaining the current status quo on ground. That's my stake.
Okay. Ibukun, you have any comments to the pop? We know the poppy. I said the poppy should go. I agree with Abdullahi. He has a very valid point. What's your own view before we move on?
Well, there is no further argumentation about that. It's very it's clear. The reality that is um, points to the fact that pulpits and the palaces, they are indeed in bed with these bad guys. All right. They can. I cannot make excuse for the palace because just as every other institution, they have associations. There's association of kings in Nigeria where they meet together. All right, they associate together. They can as a force because they are the ones that control the grassroots. They are the ones that the people basically listen to. They are the ones closest to the people. So when you have them, riding Rolls Royces and going to Aso Rock to get brown envelopes in dollars, you are in big trouble as a people because they are the ones that are the closest to the people. So they constitute an institution. And the politicians don't joke with them. They know the role that they are playing to indeed keep the docility, very fresh, docility and the gullibility. So as far as I'm concerned, they are not absorbed, and the pulpits also, I don't have to repeat that. The pulpits are very clearly complicit. All right. You can see people like there was some daddy geos that have had, a cup of tea with the Almighty himself, making excuses for Tinubu that he has done his best, that there's nothing he can do more than what he's doing right now. So the complicity is very, very loud. So yeah, let's move on. Thank you so much.
Okay, that's very good. We're moving on now to our youths, to the young people, a generation being anesthetized on schedule. For those just joining us, because we see that our numbers keep increasing, a lot of people are joining us from several mediums. I can't tell which medium, but we have people on YouTube, we have people on TikTok, we have people on Instagram, we have people on Facebook. I really can't tell where the numbers are coming from, but we have about 138 people from various mediums joining us. That's very nice. We welcome you to the Movement Radio. We are an alternative medium whereby we want to conscientize the minds of our people so we can free them, they can free themselves and lead to the freedom and full citizenship in Nigeria. On today's topic, we are talking about how Nigeria is sliding into a one-man rule, how the nation is sleepwalking into a one-man state, not a one-man party, but a one-man state. And we've talked so far, if you're just joining us, we talked about how most of the institutions that are supposed to be the shield against this have already fallen. They've taken the knee bow, they bowed and kissed the ring from all institutions. We're now talking on, we talked about the traditional institution, the pulpit, religious institution, academic institution. We touched on several if you're just joining us. But now we're moving on to talk about the young generation, a generation that is being anesthetized on schedule. Nigerian youth were supposed to be the republic immune system. I like that. When we were young, we were called the conscience of the nation as a student body. So Nigerian youth were supposed to be the republic's immune system. Instead, an entire demographic is being systematically dulled. Yeah, systematically turned into the Olodo generation. The United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime 2025 World Drug Report found drug use in Nigeria running at nearly 3 times the global average. More than 3 million Nigerians living with diagnosed drug users disorder. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency reports that 69% of the roughly 78,000 drug offenders arrested over the past 5 years were young people. And independent studies estimate that between 20 and 40% of Nigerian youth are battling some form of addiction, driven overwhelmingly by unemployment, hopelessness, and the absence of any credible pathway to a better life. The sources are the UNDC World Drug Report, if you want to check this out. This is not a coincidence. A serious analysis can ignore. This is not a coincidence that a serious analysis can ignore. A population with more than half its citizens under the age of 35, denied functioning education and denied job, is not merely vulnerable to addiction. It is a population that a consolidating power has every incentive to keep exhausted, distracted, and divided against itself, rather than organize against the system failing it. To every young Nigerian reading this, the country you inherit is the one you build or fail to build today. You did not receive a free healthcare or uninterrupted school calendar. You hustle for everything you have. The next generation will inherit exactly what you're willing to fight for now, and exactly what you're willing to look away from. Nigeria and Africa youth once led the charge against colonial rule, and elsewhere against slavery itself, often as far greater personal risk than a raised voice or an organized protest carries today. Whatever it is you are currently enjoying about the present arrangement, ask honestly whether it is worth explaining to your children one day why you said nothing while it was still possible to speak. That's a very damning statement towards the youth, but the line I like the most here is that to every young Nigerian, the country you inherit is the one you built today. And exactly what you're willing to look away from. That is the population. This is very indicting on the Nigerian youth. I don't know if you guys have any comment, or any of our audience have a comment. Please, if you have a comment on any of our medium, you can type it out. We will see it in the studio. We'll read it out. It's only audience that are on X that can join us audioly. But for this one, I just saw that there's been a huge change between the type of youth we have now and the youth that were there when we were young. When I say we were, I'm in my late 50s. So, well, during this show, when we were young, the youth were the conscience of the nation. But the youth today, I don't know, they're so calm, quiet, and they are easily distracted. Yeah, that was the part I liked the most about the article. Something about, oh, let me finish. Somebody wants to talk. Yeah, I was trying to pick up the best line in that thing that I like the most. But I noticed a difference between the old youth and this one. It's a population excessive. Let the person speak. Let the person speak. I'll find that line. Go ahead. Oh, who are you? That's the microphone. Go ahead, please. Whoever has the microphone.
Reading I was not mindful of listening to what the movement have been saying. I'm not sure I was really keen on talking on anything, but of course, we know that as much as we want to blame our people for the issues going on in our country, is that also is the more we look inward, we would see that people alone cannot complain. Are they complicit? Absolutely. Fractionally, they are complicit. But so-called elites, pseudo-elites, I would love to call them because I don't see them as elites. The professionals of our country, like the journalists. But the journalist, I think someone spoke about the role of journalists. What do you expect when institution cannot protect them? And I think Comrade Alabafera did justice to that question. But also is that, and this is why we are hell-bent on building institution and not individual. We are hell-bent on holding institution accountable and not individual. Our people, the professionals of our country, they should know they are the ones, they have the responsibility, like the journalists, the doctors, all of these people, they are the ones that have the power and the will to put the government to its knees. They are the highly working bourgeoisies. But the African bourgeoisies, as we all know, are the most corrupt bourgeoisie in the world. The African bourgeoisie would love to build mansion in the midst of poverty. The African bourgeoisie would like to drive limousine, Bentley, what have you, whatever, Bugatti, in the midst of Tata Road. That is the African bourgeoisie for you. So the African bourgeoisie, both the petty and whatever bourgeoisie, have betrayed African people. These people are not patriotic in any way, shape, or form. They are the cause of the problem in Africa. The Yalaka, we love to easily blame. Look inward. What brain do they have to know their left from their right? Let's take a good look at that. These people have not been known to understand what democracy truly means. These people have not been known to understand deeply what was brought to them by the colonialists. It was not them that negotiated our independence. They have nothing to do with it. They were only told, and they trusted these professionals, they trusted these so-called elders, that they had made the right decision on their own behalf. What they know nothing about, they have no clue on, is what we want to blame them for. However, is that, yes, time again, years by, come rain, come sun, come whatever, that these people have cannot deny that they've experienced that the so-called elders or professionals or bourgeoisies that are supposed to guide them, intelligentias that are supposed to guide them in this knowledge and thoughts and approach and principle as to what they should, engage in, believing, and betray them. On that basis, it is worthy of note that this set of Nigerians should know better now, should know what to do, should know that they should look, inward and decide outward on the road to develop our nation. They must be active, they must partake in it, they must be interested in it. But of course, that we also have a role to play in all of this. We, the so-called conscious, I use the word so-called conscious because on a good day, probably we will not be in this space. But of course, we have owned the duty to join this space. We have owned, and when I say this space, I don't mean this particular space alone. That's every engagement we are doing to conscientize the public that we have decided to take this role because those men to take upon that role have betrayed the masses of our people who should trust them. I mean, don't you think about it? When professionals, the journalists in overseas country, when they speak, the audience listen to them and take knowledge from them. They don't tell them lies. They don't, of course, the one that tell them lies, tell them lies. The one that tell them the truth, tell them the truth. They know where to go to. You know that if you listen to CNN too much, you will be deluded with the narrative of what's going on in the world. So therefore, you have an alternative platform like the CBS. If you listen to BBC so much, you know that you may be deluded as well. So you have an alternative platform like the ABC. There are loads and loads of that. But you come to Africa, a country like Nigeria, to be specific. What is channels giving to the people? Recently, a certain individual went for went for an interview. He was mesmerized No, not mesmerized. Say they came out and said, do not ask this certain man again this kind of question. In fact, if you know you'll be asking him this question, they don't invite him for your interviews again. And they want this set of people. You see, Nigerians indeed ready for a better Nigeria. If you are ready for a better Nigeria, no matter how bad or how terrible the question is, any question to bring about the truth or ideas that you want to come and implement in our country, the people must ask you in whatever way, shape, or form. That's why you're coming to become the president. You're not coming to become the president because you want to rub your shoulder, caress you, pamper you, rub your head. No way, my brother. You are here to serve us. Stephanie, if you are coming to serve us and you choose to want to come and serve us, you must be interested in the way we ask that question. Any way we ask that question, it is your duty to play the role of leadership, to say yes, you are going to respond regardless. Go look at Omoyele Sowore. People have asked him so kind of a lame question. Listen to Seun Okibalo, the way he addresses Sowore, you say, you Sowore, that is someone that is coming to become president. But we are revolutionaries. We don't care and we don't consider all of those things. Tomorrow, if Seun Okibalo is interested in engaging Sowore again, stop it. Let him go ahead and ask him all manner and sort of question you want to ask him. We know we are revolutionary. We don't shy away from such questions. That is the difference between both of us and this set of people in power. When last did Tinubu himself conduct interview with a journalist of Nigeria? Common journalists of Nigeria, even though they can put money in their pocket. The last time, what's it called? Wike was saying that all of you journalists come here to interview me. Did we pay you? Did we pay? So he revealed the roles. Journalists go collect their own. These professionals go collect their own. Engineers go collect their own. Maki is who I'm referring to now because they're saying he's an engineer. All of them go collect their own. Professionals go collect their own. Journalists go collect their own. Musicians go collect their own. Engineers go collect their own. Doctors go collect their own. Everybody, lecturers go collect their own. Professors go collect their own. They are not interested to serving the people, but to serve those that is putting money in their pocket. Now, the masses have been crying for over 3 years that they are hungry, that they could not put food in their mouth. They don't even know the next time they are going to eat. That is the definition of hunger. Hunger is not that, oh, I'm hungry now, my belly is tighting, so I'm hungry. No, hunger is when you don't know what to eat the next hour, minute, or day. That is hunger. That is what our people are going through. Now, 3 years after, they are getting towards the next election after 4 years. So these people come around. This is when you now come to the people. You that you have been far away from the people, you now come to the people 3 years after, 1 to 4 years, and say, come and vote for me. I will give you this. I'll give you 1,000. I'll give you 2,000. Bro, these people have not even touched 15 naira for 3 years. Suddenly somebody wants to give them 1,000. We will now say, oh, why do you want to collect 1,000? You are selling your future. You are right. You are not wrong. My concern is, I wish, because my own is, I hate the hypocrisy. The hypocrisy then comes to be that if you have not criticized the professional for the past 3 years, you do not have the moral right or moral stance to criticize these ones. That is my position. That is my position. You must, before you come and criticize that poor man that nobody talked to, nobody recognized, nobody was interested, nobody went to until the immediate election. Then they go to this one. It is the poor man now you want to now tell not to collect riba. Before you do that, you must have been condemning the professionals who don't collect riba for the past 3 years. But you can't ignore them and go about. You cannot keep quiet on top those where they carry 210 trillion naira where they don't feel account for. You don't talk about them. Even if you talk, you just talk and laugh. Then that poor woman who don't even know if food will come tomorrow. Suddenly one politician can't give her 5 pay. person will never see 500 naira for our lives, or you don't know that there are a lot of these people that they've never held 500 naira before. That is their own. We don't know it is that bad. We give a reason now. For those that may want to get me wrong on this position, I am saying loud and clear. You must have criticized the professionals who don't collect millions for 3 years, spreading the lies. You must have criticized them constantly.
Oh, thank you very much. I totally agree with you. Most of our professionals have already collected their own 500 naira before it gets to the polling day, because they collected it in their failure to uphold their professional ethics. They collected it in their failure to stand firm against tyranny. They've collected it in their capitalization to authority. So now, when it comes to discussion and blaming why the system is wrong, they will be the first to point finger. The people collecting money during the election, the people collecting money during the masses collecting. Don't sell your vote, but you sold your vote. You not only sold your vote for 4 years, you sold it for generation yet unborn. I don't know if any other person has a microphone before I go on with the issues of political parties and their spine. Ibukun, you're in charge of that. Any person, I don't want to talk over people. I want to give everybody their chance to. I can't hear you. Your mic is off.
Yes, OIA said he's not done talking, so yeah.
OIA is not done. Hey, let him talk. Yeah. Okay. I took the headphone off.
It is not enough, because I think it is also the easy route. The easy route is to blame the poor man. The poor man has always been the victim of every goddamn failed system of any country. We will not allow it. You cannot make the poor man victim, making the poor man poor institutionally. And again, during the election, you still blame the poor man for the reason our vote or your vote did not count, or they voted someone wrongly. No, don't let us do that.
Wow.
Yes, we call the hypocrisy out. We call all of these ones out. We call out of the poor man. But before we can go ahead to do all of that, we must have called the professionals. The professionals have been collecting this money, they've been collecting millions, and they've been spreading lies, or at least they've not been telling us what we should be hearing. So, thanks for the movement, the media, like the movement radio that is coming on board now, and all the medias, free medias that are speaking up for the people of this country and beyond. Because it's not for this kind of free media, which information, where are we going to get the right information from? So I want to also encourage the movement radio never to stop this kind of system. And if you can go beyond this and go in the satellite teach where people can hear the movement radio purely, it will be well and good. Beyond just the internet, the mainstream also is what the movement radio should be looking up to, infiltrate, because we need such platform. Sahara Reporter alone cannot do it. Which other one they? I don't even know again. You see? So yeah, when we have places with media like the movement radio, it's gonna help. At least it's gonna help us push the narrative in the right order. The people alone cannot be blamed, at least not now. Those that can be blamed effectively are the professionals who keep spreading the lies. Those that can be blamed effectively are the engineers who keep building wrong buildings. Those that can be blamed effectively are the doctors who, instead of doing research to discover how to cure malaria, they keep on doing BBL for our young girls. Those are the people I am interested that we should start blaming massively. We call them out and call their cowardice and call their unpatriotism. When we do that, then we can go about to call that young people, those poor people who also are in cahoots with the destroyers of our country. Back to you, Liberation Chance on the Movement Radio. Revolution now.
Yes, OI is done. Please, can we proceed? Thank you so very much, OI. Thank you so very much, OIA. That was very succinct delivery. Pass the mic back to the Movement Radio Chicago.
Yeah, OIA. Well, thank you very, very much. You have hit the nail. You have hit the nail on the head. If you see on if you stroll at the bottom, you see the Nigerian problem is summed up as one, our collective silence. Two, the enemies within. And who do we identify as our enemy within? The elites, the professionals that you mentioned. Those are the ones. You see that before we even mention the big man, which is the ruiner themselves, we are focused on the elites. And that is what this movement radio intends to target. All those fake professionals that call themselves journalists, that runs Medium, on Space, on YouTube, that tend to pretend as if they are balanced, and in their balanced view, they come and bring a terrorist sympathizer to address the people. They come and bring the opinion of the ruiners to address the people, to sedate the people. They know what they are doing. They sedate the people. Well, they go on to this usual distraction to talk about whether a priest can challenge the president or not, instead of focusing on the finance minister that mumbled rubbish out on his economic policies. None of those they want to do. They don't want to do their job or their role with which they have sworn an oath to do. But it will be so easy to blame the people that they are collecting money during election. The professionals that fail, the judge that says their hands are tied, the doctor that fails to perform, the journalists, the judges, the lawyers that think that their people are resources for them to exploit. These are the tragedy that has brought us to our knees and where we are. And the movement radio recognizes that, and we are saying that it is not just our collective silence, it is the enemies within. And we intend to identify them, we intend to castigate them. You watch for more episodes when we start bringing mediums to you, mediums that are acting as a tool of the enemy. These are like minions. They are like night walkers that surrounds the night king. If we don't deal with the night walkers first, we can't get to the night king. This is the problem we are facing. And this is a fact. And this is why we are saying that we need alternative medium, not all this sedative, toxic poison that they give our people, and they call it news. You shouldn't even call them elite. The professional. You are so on point. In fact, you are so on point. The Nigerian struggle has been mischaracterized. It is not a pro-democracy struggle. No, it is a liberation struggle awaiting the conscience. Awaiting the conscious. And a lot of people are not conscious. Nigeria has been captured by a most rapacious class of evil men. Evil men. A men that we should be ashamed to say they are black like us. Men we need to castigate out of our communities. People that back in the days before the coming of the white man, they were only allowed to stay in the evil forest. We sent them to the evil forest. But now they are building castles among us, and some people are cheering them. Let's move on with this. The purpose of today's topic is that we are sliding slowly into a one-man rule. And everybody's action in this role is being mentioned. Now we talk about parties. I'm going to read that out. I'm going to be faster with my reading as time seems to be much on our side. Political parties in any functioning democracy is supposed to be a vehicle for competing ideas, not in Nigeria. Disciplined enough to hold its office holders accountable to a platform. Nigerian major parties have largely abandoned even the pretense. The defections wave described earlier was not in the overwhelming majority of cases driven by ideological conversion. It was driven by access, patronage, and self-preservation, with governors and legislature crossing carpet not because they had changed their minds about governance, but because they had calculated where power would sit next. A party that exists to deliver its members comfort, rather than to hold them to a standard is not a political party. I hope Nigerians are listening to that. A party that exists to deliver its members comfort rather than to hold them to a standard is not a political party. It is a pressure group with a logo. And a country whose entire party system functions this way has almost no institutional mechanism left to say no to leaders who want more than his constitutional share. What peaceful resistance actually require? We're now going into peaceful resistance. So our political parties are nothing but special purpose vehicles for them, not all, for them to go make money. And then that's why it's easy to plant enemies among them. What peaceful resistance actually requires? None of this is inevitable, and the essay would be incomplete if it ended only in diagnosis. Nigeria has, within living memory, defeated exactly this threat once. Repeating that outcome requires specific, sustained, peaceful action rather than a mood of general disapproval. 1. Treat every future attempt to touch terms limits, election timelines, or judicial independence as a 5-alarm national emergency. Not a legislative technicality to be monitored quietly from the sideline. 2. Demand transparent, diversified media ownership. That's what we are talking about. Demand transparent, diversified media ownership. Support independent and non-aligned journalism directly, and stop rewarding outlets that have chosen patronage over scrutiny with audience or advertising. That's a fact Nigerians need to listen to. You have to demand transparent and diversified media. Support independent and non-aligned journalism directly. Stop rewarding outlets that have chosen patronage over scrutiny with audience and advertising. So a lot of Nigerians that flock to all these media houses that serve no purpose, that a child listening cannot learn anything from, that you cannot make a Martin Luther King or a Malcolm X from their saying. All they do is sedate the people. Stop patronizing such outlet. There's a lot of them on YouTube. There's a lot of them on X. Get your mind out of the gutters. Get out of those places. Stop patronizing garbage. Stop eating shit like dogs. They're serving you shit and you're gumping it up. Number 3, call on Nigerian artists, musicians, and public entertainers to reclaim the tradition of Fela Kuti and Miriam Makeba and hold them, not just politicians, publicly accountable when culture becomes decorated for power instead of resistance to it. We will be doing that a lot here on the Movement Radio. During the time the children were kidnapped, none of those musicians, maybe except Davido, will put pins on his mouth about those children. 42 children are still missing in Borno. Nobody's saying anything about that. We say we have artists of international standing playing Afrobeats worldwide. That's a shame. Your house is burning and you can't even help the people to turn off the fire. I'm talking too much like a radical. I need to pipe it down. I'm a host. Number 4, maybe Buku and Abdullahi should read the rest. They just just think talking about this thing has just made me get a little bit high blood. Who wants to continue number 4? Can you guys see it? Or I should just continue?
Yeah,
Should I
I
just
think
continue or you guys got it?
Ibokun, can you go?
Okay,
I should just continue. Is that the decision?
okay. Number 4 states insist that religious and traditional.
Let me continue, John.
Okay.
No, don't worry, Abdullahi. Let me continue.
Okay.
Okay, number 4. What did you say, Beatrice? Okay. Oh, you can't hear me again? Okay. Can you hear us now?
Yes.
Ibukun,
Yes,
okay.
say you should proceed.
Number
Yes.
4, insist that religious and traditional institutions choose moral independence over proximity to public funds, and ask direct public question when they do not. Invest in youth-facing solutions, real jobs, functioning rehabilitation infrastructure and education. As a matter of national security, not charity, because an anesthetized generation cannot defend a republic. Reward political parties that maintain actual internal democracy and ideological discipline, and treat casual patronage-driven defection as a qualifying character issue at the ballot box, not a routine footnote. Organize a single voice is easy to isolate. Organize a single voice is easy to isolate. A coordinated civil society, professional association, or community network is what actually reversed the third term in Project 2006, and is what Nigeria own history and can prove and work again. Notice that all this recommendation is not saying government should, it's saying we should. This is what we should do. Recommendation as individuals. The line we cannot let be crossed. The line we cannot cross. A one-party state is a democracy in decline. A one-man state is the end of the argument altogether. A system in which no institution retains the independence to say no, in which the only remaining check on power is whatever mercy that power chooses on any given day to extend. Nigeria is not there yet, but every early warning sign cataloged in this essay, a governing party absorbing the opposition by defection rather than persuasion, a press compromised by ownership, an entertainment culture that has traded resistance for proximity, religious and traditional institutions drawn into the orbit of patronage, and a generation of young citizens quietly anesthetized by hopelessness is precisely the sequence that preceded every entrenched one-man rule this continent has produced. Citizenship is not a spectator sport. That is the most important office. The office of the citizen is not a spectator sport, and it was never meant to be inherited passively. It is demanded, it is practiced, and it is defended, and generation after generation, or it's lost the same way. Nigeria defeated this exact threat once, peacefully, within the lifetime of the people still reading newspapers today. The institution that did it then, a free press, an organized civil society, a legislature that still had a conscience, are all still standing, weakened but not yet dead. What they need now is not sympathy, it is use. Ask the question that makes someone in power uncomfortable. Refuse the silence that has been marketed to you as peace. The alternative is a nation that wakes up one day and discover that it has spent a decade quietly building the very tyrant it always swore it would never allow. Bottom line, citizenship is not a spectator sport. Do something. Abdullahi and Ibukun, I pass the mic over to you all. Let's leave that conclusion. I like that.
Okay.
Oh, Ibukun, are you there?
Of doing something that it ended with, we have to participate. And at the beginning of this space, we made it very, very clear that participation is key in all of this. There's no way we'll get ourselves out of these doldrums if we do not participate. Very, very important. But this whole idea of looking for a Superman or an extraterrestrial entity to come and help us solve our problems, or looking forward to the failed system, it's funny when you want to solve a problem and you are looking forward to the very institutions that have caused the problem in the first place, or the very same politicians that have caused the problem in the first place, or you are looking for the media that is complicit, that is by system complicit, or you are expecting an electoral umpire that is loyal to the system to suddenly give you a free and fair election. All right. So participation is very key. This this blaming of a thing, trying to, transfer aggression on entities that are not really the problem. It gets me, it pisses me off, and at the same time cracks me up at the same time. So it's just like a bittersweet experience for me, because I marvel at the hypocrisy of Nigerians, and I find their honest ignorance very, very entertaining. But well, we have to indeed get to a point where we would have to participate actively as the office of the citizens, which is the most important office, or we keep on the vicious circle rolling. So passing the mic to Mr. Abdullahi.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Alaba and Ibokun. I think you have done justice to the AC, and just like departing words that I will have to say. A peaceful revolution in Nigeria is very much possible, and the office of the citizenry is the most powerful office in every country. A positive and a prosperous Nigeria is possible, but not by an individual, but by our collective effort. If only single individual or just few individuals will keep putting their effort, they will achieve something. But when we collectively work together, we'll make it even more faster, more beautiful, more bigger, and within the shortest possible time, we can make it possible. So this essay is is a call to action, that if we keep sleeping and we keep maintaining the silence, so we are just like setting or giving others, that single person, an opportunity to create that empire that you will create, that everybody have to be submissive. So a better Nigeria is possible, and a better Nigeria is possible because if all of us take action. So that's all the AC wants to tell you about. And if we keep quiet, we know where we're heading to. But if we speak, the office of the citizenry is not a passive office, it's an active office, it's a participatory office. So let us be active, let us participate, let us interact, let's do it together. That's the essence of the movement radio. It's an alternative that will educate you, inform you, and make you enlightened and bring you up to speed to the reality of life. This is the reality of Nigeria, and we all have responsibility. So let us all stand to our responsibility.
To start akara business doesn't take a lot of money. To start roasting corn, or somebody even said about grant, you see they're saying that kuli doesn't take much. We didn't give them a loan. We gave it to them as a grant. So we've encouraged Nigerians as best as we could. What is within our hands, I have given. And I keep giving.
First lady say make we dey fry akara. Her Excellency say make we dey say kuli. Yeah, what the funny? Who do us like this, yo? Nigeria, who do us like this, yo? Who swear for Nigeria, yo? Africa, who do us like this, yo? Yeah, ever, what the funny? Our children there for bush, yo. We say make her dey say kuli. Bandit they kidnap, yo. We say make I dey sell akara oh. Insecurity everywhere oh. No nepa mosquito everywhere oh. They say make I dey sell corn oh. Yeah. Pharaoh let my people go. We no go sell akara oh. Pharaoh let my people go. We no go sell kuli kuli. Pharaoh let my people go. I say we no go sell corn oh. Aide, Nigeria, oya, kuli kuli, akara, kuli kuli, kuli kuli, akara, kuli kuli, kuli kuli, akara, kuli kuli, kuli kuli, akara, kuli kuli.
We're trying to give hope, and to start akara business doesn't take a lot of money. To start roasting corn, or somebody even said about grand. You see, they're saying that kuli kuli. We gave it to them as a grant. So we've encouraged Nigerians as best as we could. What is within our hands, I have given, and I keep giving.
Yes, that's very nice. So are we covering any other article? We've been on here for almost 3 hours, or should we call it a day? The guys, you all decide. What we got to do. Are you all exhausted? Are the audience still ready to go? What do you decide, Ibukumo? Abdullahi, it's up to you guys.
Yeah, I think I suggest we give them a fresh edition after a very well detailed article for today. So we'll proceed on on Tuesday, I believe, to give them a fresh episode that we've got in stock for them. We have many articles for us to dig deep into, so we will always have articles for us to, yeah.
Thank you to everybody that's on us. We have a lot of people. I really don't know which of the sites we got on this crowd, but you have to. Ibukumo and you and Abdullah, you guys have to say very big thank you to them. Right? I can only see Instagram, quite a lot on Instagram. I can't count the ones on TikTok. Okay, but can you thank them very much? In fact, it looks like we broke records today.
Yes, we broke records
once
today.
The music stop, we start. Once the music stop, then you thank them, and then we can call it a day. Boxing champion, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I greet. Thank you so very much. We greet you for your audience today. We broke records. 150 of you joined the broadcast today, and it's indeed
157.
yes, 157.
Not
And
counting
that
TikTok
is
and what's the other one? Instagram.
yes, absolutely. So it basically shows that we have to intensify. We have to keep you enjoy what we do, and there is enough signal to indicate that yes, you want us to continue doing this. All right, and we want to make a request. Your participation is as important as your attention. The fact that we have your attention is a good start, is a good indication But your participation is also very, very important. Participate by your, comments, all right, your retweets, your likes, your followership. We'll be happy if at least 100 of us can follow the account so that you'll be notified. We want to have you back. And part of that is indeed to remember to follow all of the panelists, all right? Follow the OIA, follow Beatrice, follow Liberation Chat. Let's follow each other, all right? So that you'll be notified when we are live and direct again. We'll be live on Tuesday for another fresh edition of the Movement Radio. Liberation Chat will be up on Monday for the regular political, granular details of the street politics, breaking it down to the partisan side of things. But Movement Radio has made it very clear that we are indeed an institution, all right, that's got a revolutionary position that is not partisan. So please have it in mind, follow, and please participate, all right? Your attention is very, very important. The fact that we are viewing what we are doing, you are observing, is a good thing, but we would love you to participate actively in the conversation by commenting and all of those things. So thank you so very much. We look forward to having you on Tuesday for another fresh edition. Passing you the mic, Mr. Abdullahi.
Thank you so much, everybody. Each and every one of you is very important to us, and we love you all. Forward to your contribution, your subscription, you subscribe, you like, you share, and you bring in more people. The Movement Radio, and all is moving towards our own collective liberation. So it's nothing more, nothing less. Our collective liberation. So we are all looking forward to be a true citizen in Nigeria, and we'll get the actual citizenship. So that's all we are looking for. So thank you. We look forward to having you again on Tuesday with another interesting super bumper package. So thank you, everybody. This is Abdullahi Salisu from Abuja, the Movement Radio.
Yeah, thank you all very much for joining us. We want to thank you very much. Please help us click the like buttons, the share buttons, tell people about us. All we are struggling for is for us to have a better country. We believe Nigeria cannot continue like this, and we believe nobody is coming to save us. We have to save ourselves. And we cannot save ourselves if we are aware of how we can save ourselves. So we want to be a contributory factor to that. We want to help save Nigeria, have a good country, a free country, a country we can call our own. We don't want to have a home where all of us are running out and we call that success. We want to drive the clowns that are in the palace out. We want to let them know they don't represent us and they don't govern us. But we cannot do that ourselves. So thank you all for joining us on YouTube. Thank you all for joining us on Facebook. Thank you all for joining us on Instagram. Thank you all for joining us on TikTok. Is there anything else for joining? I almost forgot X. Thank you all for joining on X. Somebody is complaining on TikTok that I did not mention them. Thank you, Papunda, for joining us. Thank you very much. On X, Attack OIA, Beatrice, Freno, Ingenious, Edo Pikin, Enemona, on Instagram. The list is too long for me to call out the names. I have the names. I don't have the names for YouTube or Facebook. But thank you, everyone. Please click like, please click share. Let people know about us. No, all we want is a better country. We don't want to keep running across a desert. Thank you, and we'll hope to see you. We do a reruns. If you come in late, you can watch the shows again. We'll do reruns, but we'll start another show on Tuesday. Thank you very much, and God bless you all. God bless you, and God will guide us all. Thank you.